all set now. We've got top of the hour here. So good morning, SCUCE Dream Team. It is wonderful to see you all on this Zoom this morning. Appreciate you taking some time today. I know the education and training team has been working very hard on getting us all set for SCUCE, and definitely wanted to get everyone together to cover some of the big items as well as some important details. So just a quick thank you to everyone for your active role in helping SCUCE be a success, as we did not have SCUCE last year because of the pandemic. And so this 2021 SCUCE will be our first as a 3-state league. And so we're really excited about it. But considering we are still in the middle of a pandemic, although things are improving, things are going to look a little bit different for those of you that have been there before. And so we just want to make sure everyone knows what expectations are and what things will look like leading up to and then once we're on site. So real quick, we're at a new venue. We're at the Hilton Bonnet Creek in Orlando, Florida. Again, for those who have been at this event in the past, we've been at the JW Marriott for, this is going to be a big change, not just for our staff, but for our attendees as well and our exhibitors. It's a new venue, new hotel. What I will tell you is that for those of you that have been at the JW Marriott, the layout is very similar. In fact, the same builder constructed both properties. So it's set up similar in that the Hilton Bonnet Creek is attached to the Waldorf Astoria, but they have an interior hallway, similar pool, lazy river, and of course, a very beautiful golf course that we've heard a lot of our folks are excited about teeing off on. So we're excited about the venue. I did want to just remind folks that we have a brand new education and training team planning this conference. And so if there are things that you have come to expect or things that just maybe have happened as if by magic in the past, be aware that we might not know about it. So please let us know if there are things like that that you just always have or know or expect. Let Maureen, Christine, and I know about that, please, because we want to make sure that we're meeting your expectations as well. And we don't want you, getting on site and saying, wait, what about this? What happened here? We want to be as prepared as possible. And so with that, I just want to take an opportunity to thank our education and training team. Maureen has been doing an awesome job getting us pulled together for this conference. Christine is our newest team member. She has just jumped in with both feet and is rocking things with our exhibitors and also helping Maureen with a lot of different conference related items. And I can't even begin to thank all of the people that have played a role in this to this point, because we've had a lot of help from other departments as well and individuals participating. So thank you to our education and training team and for those that have been helping. Another couple just quick things before I turn this over to Maureen to jump in some of the meat of the meeting. We had sent out an email to everybody about the policy as far as bringing family to the conference. In the past, it was always, family was more than welcome to join you. Because of things with the pandemic, we really were kind of struggling with making a decision. We had announced that family would not be permitted to join you if you were attending the conference to work, but we are going to reverse that policy. So family is allowed to join you in Orlando with the caveat, of course, work comes first. We're there to work. And we'll cover some of the health and safety policies later, and that will extend to any family that you have attending with you. But did want to just go ahead and let you know that I know as far as making plans and things like that, it's good to just know what the policy is. And then I know that there's probably some questions around dress code and schedule and things like that. And we will certainly address that later on in the meeting when we get to next steps in our next check-in meeting. So Maureen will cover that, but I just wanted you to know that we'll be talking about it. And with that, I think that's all of really the sort of housekeeping announcements and comments that I had. And so I'll turn it over to Maureen to talk about some of the good stuff.
All right. Kate, if you'll go to the next slide. We have got in registration as of this morning, 476, and that is credit union people, exhibitors, So it's kind of a combined list, and it's broken down below. You guys will be getting later today the nice, pretty spreadsheet that Becky puts together. I give her raw data. It's not pretty. It's not very nicely put together. And she makes it into a nice spreadsheet that's broken down and gives us the breakdown of this type of information. So you can see with credit unions, just in general, they are broken down as they're coming all 3 days, or they're just coming 2 days, or they're YPGs. There are about 267 of those, but not included in there are board members and their guests as well in the list below of guests. We're having a little bit of an issue with our registration company in getting them loaded in. They should be loaded in next week. They should have been loaded in this week, but it's just been a struggle because there's a lot of data points that have to get put in. So when you look at guests, we have 72 guests. We expect all these numbers just to keep rising. We've got a couple of, event only attendees like dinner and golf. And under exhibitors, one thing I would just tell you is we've got at least this many booths already sold, more than 80, I believe at this point. But if you think about it, most booths have 2 exhibitors in them at a minimum. Some will have more. So the exhibitor number of registrations is lagging. It's slow. Companies have registered, but they haven't registered all their people yet. So we know that we probably are going to have double, but probably even triple these numbers in actual attendees. And then our staff and speakers are not included when we look at registration totals. So I put them on here just so that you would be aware. But how this correlates to 2019, which is really the only year that we've got, the last year that we had to compare this to. It wasn't a 3-state meeting at that point. It was just the 2-state meeting, but it's a good gauge of, how close are we in registrations? What kind of a comeback are we having with a pandemic? Meeting still in the middle of a pandemic. And we're about right around 75, 77% of where registrations were on this exact day in 2019, which is shocking. Just in the past few weeks, it's gone up from about 60% to now into the mid 70s. So where did SCUCE end up? What were the numbers, the final numbers? So what can we expect the final numbers to be? SCUCE was over 1,000 attendees when you added everybody together with credit unions and the exhibitors. So it's very real possibility that we will have 600 to 700 people. Anybody have any questions about the registrations? If you don't, or if you do later, you can get in touch with me. You'll be seeing the broken down registration list that gives you the details of the credit unions later today. I'm going to turn it over to Christine and ask her to go ahead and do a registration update on the exhibitors.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to be in this involved with SCUCE. It's been baptism through fire, for sure, but I'm looking forward to seeing SCUCE and seeing it come together. Right now we have 99 booths sold, and we have 9 available. So the way I look at it, even with where we're at with the numbers that Maureen has said, even with having to decrease the number of booths from what you've had in the past, you're doing pretty well. And, in my estimation, I think that we're going to sell out. I've had a lot of phone calls from people who are interested. It may be just because people are, chomping at the bit to get out. And we're the wild, wild west here in Florida. So, but I've had some great interactions with some of the exhibitors and sponsors, and I'm looking forward to getting to know them a lot more. So if you have anybody that's out there that's talking about coming, send them my way.
And just as a real quick follow-up, I'm sure everyone assumes this, but the reason why we have less booths is because of social distancing. And so we just couldn't fit as many booths in the exhibit hall. We do expect that next year we'll be at the same property. We have a 2-year contract with them. that we'll be able to fill that back up to closer to the 170 that we've had in the past. But for this year, we do only have the 108 available. So just wanted to clarify on that. Thanks, Christine, for the update.
And I'll add one more thing to that as well. There are going to be companies that are not going to be able to get a booth presence, and we don't want to tell anybody no. We want people to be able to come. There are folks that have asked us specifically, could I come even if I didn't have a booth? We are going to have a registration opportunity for people to come in as a walking exhibitor, where they would be able to attend events. They just wouldn't have the booth presence. And we're not doing that until booths are sold out. But we already have, have folks that we know that we're going to have that opportunity for. This is not something that LSU or Georgia has ever done in the past. It is done at other leagues. So you may be seeing some people that you can't find in the vendor hall specifically, but they will be there and they will be listed as a walking exhibitor. So if you wondered what that is, if you see it on a list, now you know.
Yeah, I think that's an important point, Maureen, is for folks that are speaking to vendors, don't bring that up until we have filled the exhibit hall, because we know that there are some vendors that would much rather have that option. They don't want to have to worry about setting up the booth or being tied to a specific booth, and they would just wait it out. We encourage people to have booths, but this is our way to get back to that 165, 170 vendor amount. So don't be, if you speak to vendors, don't be like, well, hey, if you wait it out, you could, just get a walk-in registration. That's just something that we want to be able to offer as kind of an added value or added opportunity for vendors once the exhibit hall is sold out.
Yes, excellent point. Thank you. Okay, any question about registration for Maureen and Christine before we move on to some of our key events? Okay, great. Bobby, why don't you get us started with some of the foundation events?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm excited. Our golf numbers are looking really good. We're at 55 registered golfers from credit unions and 9 registered from vendors or system partners. And I do know there's at least 2 more teams out there from vendors that I have to get with and get that going. So our numbers are looking really good. In the past, in 2019, I don't know about prior years, but in 2019, we had 90 golfers, and I'm kind of expecting we'll get to there or as close, pretty close to that number. So golf is looking good. We've actually sold out all of our sponsorships, available sponsorships this year, except some holes. So, I mean, those are kind of the cheaper ones. So I'm very excited about that. Everything, even to the water bottle sponsorships have been sold. So that's great. Getting off to a good start this year. So that's kind of it for golf. I think I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a great year, great course. It's a beautiful area. So the wine pool, we do have a sponsor for the wine pool, but I know we're working on kind of deciding the best date and time to kind of have that happen during SCUCE. So I'll have more to report on that at the next meeting, I believe. Any questions about golf or wine pool? Great, I love it.
Thanks, Bobby, and congratulations on selling those sponsorships. That is.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can you let me know what dates, these things are? I mean, is that somewhere? Is there like a schedule somewhere?
Yeah, it's called our website.
Well, I mean, that I can
We also sent key talking points out to SCUCE staff, and it does list out these key events and the dates and times.
Perfect.
We can certainly follow up if it's if you need a refresher.
No, I'll go find that. Thanks.
Bobby, do you want to also talk really quickly about the raffle?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. That wasn't on there. But yes, we are doing the raffle again this year. So that actually kicked off last week. So credit unions are signing up for that. And then we will do the culmination of the kind of pulling the raffle at the CUNY Mutual Group with CUNY Mutual Group somewhere during exhibit hall on Thursday. So when we're there, please encourage people to buy raffle tickets. They're available to staff too. So please buy raffle tickets. Jordan will have them. So don't knock her over running to her door to buy those this year. But good luck. Hopefully, if you do buy some, you'll win that $5,000 grand prize. So that is the other thing that we're doing, and hopefully, and we're getting good response from credit unions to start selling those. So be another good thing. Anything else? All right. I'm
Okay,
gonna
thanks, Bobby.
Sure.
Maureen, you're up next.
Kate, can you take down the slides for a minute and I'm going to share my screen. One thing we skipped over, but we will get back into pretty quickly. Just 1 minute. Let me pull this up. There we go.
I jumped right past the agenda. Sorry, Maureen.
Yeah, I know Lindsay brought it up and I'm like, oh yeah, we kind of need to talk about that. I will tell you, so here's the SCUCE, the SCUCE page. But if you're on the LSU website and you get to the SCUCE tab, which will be right here, it's the second tab that hits, and you click on Learn More, you get to this SCUCE page. So here is the SCUCE page. So SCUCE has got a lot of tabs on the left-hand side. The top two are for registration. The next one is agenda, which is very important. A lot of staff, you know, it's hard for us in the education area because we're living and breathing this every day. And we know a lot of these details, and we know the staff that are coming to SCUCE, they're going to be doing so many different, you know, tasks and duties and working at SCUCE, don't know all the details. Go familiarize yourself with the website, scroll down and look at all the information, the speakers and some of the activities. It'll help you just be a little bit more comfortable in just knowing what's coming. And also if you end up having to talk to some credit union folks as well. And one thing I wanted to show you on here is the agenda. So the agenda is broken down into each day. So we've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Wednesday pops up first. If you want to expand Thursday, you click on that. So here on Wednesday, we obviously don't put what happens on Tuesday on the open agenda to credit unions, but you guys will be getting a broken down agenda to know that there are things going on Tuesday, including a staff orientation or a staff meeting, getting us prepared and getting us ready while we're physically on site. That is at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. There will be a lot of setup going on and other types of meetings. Board meetings are going on Tuesday. You'll get that agenda. I'll be sending that out soon. It'll probably go out next week. But just if you want to look at the agenda generally, I'm not going to run through every one of these things, but you've got golf in the morning. That's how we kick off on Wednesday. We also have the Welcome Center, silent auction, the exhibitor registration. A lot of things are opening up and will be open the bulk of the day. Then for credit unions that are coming in off the golf course, there is no group lunch, but as soon as folks, you know, get into town, if they get in early enough, we've got a number of sessions going on. The biggest thing is the safety and security awareness workshop. We've got Jim, the CEO of Pivot Group, and also a senior manager from CUNA Mutual Group. We'll talk about a couple of different aspects. One is more cybersecurity, how to protect the members and how to protect your credit union from what's going on in the threat landscape today. And then also all sorts of different, you know, knowns and unknowns about employee safety and wellness post-pandemic related to, you know, other types of things as well. So that event is something in registration credit unions have had to sign up for. So when they were going through the registration, they had to say if they wanted to come to this or not. If not, there's going to be some breakout sessions. We've got Laura Gober. They typically every year there is a BSA training, and this one is going to be something for everybody, something for all staff and board members, and also a board session. There may be another session coming as well on that. We've got a reception. We've got a C-suite reception, and then all attendees will be in the exhibit hall in the evening for a few hours. Then there's a break of time where people will either go to dinner on their own or they'll come back and go to a leverage event. There's a cornhole tournament and reception. And there's an opening night party. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on. But it's called the Great American Road Trip and it's sponsored by Corporate One. Then you get to Thursday. So Thursday we have, we're opened up in the Welcome Center. Silent auction is open again. And then the day is pretty packed. This is a very full day on Thursday, starting out with our breakout sessions. We've got a CEO roundtable that's going to be right behind that. And at that same time, we have you can see by the number, there's, I think, 10 breakout sessions. We've got a lot of breakout sessions for folks. Then we've got lunch on your own, unless you have signed up for, as a credit union or a staff person even, to attend the advocacy luncheon with a featured speaker. Then in the afternoon, we have a state regulator roundtable. And at the same time, we will be having a number of breakout sessions as well. So breakouts in the afternoon. Then we come back to reception with exhibitors. And then as soon as we're done with the exhibit hall on Thursday, we go straight into our dinner and silent auction that evening. And then on Friday, it's a shorter day. We've got an opening session with a couple of breakouts or a couple of keynote speakers. Very, very much anticipated. You know, those of us who work here, we know Tony Moore, know of him. And then Sarah Thomas is going to be our closer. And following that, we have the LSU annual business meeting. So that kind of goes through the agenda. And I think the next thing that we've got is Jared is going to talk about the advocacy lunch.
Great. Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate it. The advocacy luncheon is a fundraiser that we do for the LSU Fed PAC. We typically every year will bring in a speaker who will talk about what's going on in Washington, focus on the elections that are upcoming if it's an election year. We have Nathan Gonzalez from CQ Roll Call, which is a political website, newsletter, political information site. He is going to be speaking this year. He's our keynote speaker. He will be talking about, like what I said, all the things that are going on in DC, but he's also going to focus on the 2022 elections, because in all three of our states, we have our gubernatorial elections coming up next year. And he's going to kind of talk about what that's going to look like, what is expected, because as we all know, the political world is ever shifting. We do charge $85 per ticket for this event. It is a separate ticketed event. You cannot register for the event through just the SCUCE website. The reason why is we cannot take corporate money for this. It has to be individual contributions, or at least we have to do our best to ensure that they're individual contributions. And by what that means is we have to say that everywhere on our website. We have to have a separate link for them to be able to pay. We've currently got about 20 to 25 people registered. I don't have the exact number. We usually get about 100, and that's what we're hoping for, maybe even more. But that will be a good fundraiser and lead us right into the silent auction too. So if you do want to come, we do ask that you make an $85 contribution to the PAC, because again, seats are limited, but it does include the lunch with that $85. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thanks, Forrest. Blake and Murphy, you guys want to fill us in about the very cool silent auction?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start us off. Jared, we're at 26 right now, so you were right on the money.
Perfect. Thank you.
So yeah, we're doing really well there. So as far as the silent auction goes, we have actually had a really great early turnout. We have 24 credit unions already who have either committed checks or items. One of the things that we're really pushing this year that's new for us is an Amazon wish list that we've created that's on the auction website that credit unions can go and look at if they want to contribute an item. Usually in the past, if they've said, we will let you choose, they'll send a check in, but it's actually a lot easier for us if they just choose the item they want. So we're giving them kind of that freedom to find something that they like, then they can send directly to us. So it kind of makes it easier for everyone. And we've already gotten 5 or 6 items off of our wish list purchased. And that's going really well this year in all of our meetings with credit unions for pushing our wish list. So we've had a great turnout so far. We're using the same platform that we've used the last couple of years. So everybody is very familiar with it. And we've had some great conversations with Maureen about how we're going to have a bigger room this year, make sure we spread our items out a little more so we can still have everyone come in and see the items that they want to, but that we're able to maintain distancing where we can. And we're having a bit of a vacation theme to kind of go with SCUCE, and we've had some fantastic items given by credit union that are a little bit different to fit that theme. So I think they're really into the theme as well. And we've got our physical brochure that we don't really do a lot of physical mailers, but this is one of the ones that just does really well. And we've gotten that brochure out to our vendors, our chapter presidents, and our CEOs, and that should be hitting right about now. So we're expecting a big uptick in items coming in the next couple of weeks. And we're just really excited about it. We think it's going to be a great hit this year. Glad to have it back to being in person.
Thanks, Murphy. Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you register because we get real competitive around here, don't we, folks?
And if
Yeah,
there's any
well,
item that you want to see or anything that I'm open to suggestions. So please let me know.
Yeah,
And the only thing else I
I
was-
want to mention,
All right.
real quick, one thing I want to mention is any items that are purchased by staff during that does count toward our goal that we have, our internal organization FedPAC goal. That's something that I've had people ask me, so I want to make sure that everyone knows that. And when do we open bidding, Blake?
We'll open bidding up actually a week before SCUCE hits. So probably the Wednesday before SCUCE or the Thursday before, we'll start opening the bidding for everything, kind of get some early bids. For those that are working registration on this call, and we'll cover this again, but a lot of our credit unions say they're going to bring their items to SCUCE instead of mailing them to us. So we'll make sure we have like a little small piece of paper or form that you can put the credit union name and the item and tape it to it. That way, if you get an item, you don't say, I don't know who this came from, they just dropped it off, and we can attribute it properly. But you know, as Murphy said, if you run into any credit unions, they're talking about silent auction, just lsu.coop/silent auction. That is the platform, and there's all the information is on there. We've kind of consolidated everything into one web page this year, and it's going to be probably a little bit easier to kind of handle this year. But
Yeah,
really
we
excited.
found that was a bit confusing for folks. The GiveSmart page versus our silent auction page, having the two pages was a little bit confusing. So they're actually one and the same this year.
Mhm.
And it's right accessible from our website. When it's a scrolling banner, it's under a silent auction, it all goes to the same place.
Are we able to get items donated to give to you guys, or is there a rule that it has to be paid for and then auctioned off?
They can be donated.
Donated, yeah.
Mhm.
We've had that in the past several times. So yeah, absolutely.
Good question. Any other questions for them about the silent auction? Okay. Kate, what do we need to know about the annual business meeting?
I feel sad that I have to follow silent auction because that's like the best thing ever. But the annual meeting is this year going to be on Friday, which is a departure from what we've done in the past. So it is literally the last thing at SCUCE. It's going to be at 11:15 Friday morning. Brian Flynn from CMG is going to give us an update. The agenda for the meeting itself is light this year. There are no items that are going to be voted on or that we anticipate will be voted on at this point. So we still have to call it. We will still have delegates that are registered for it. For anyone who's working registration, there will also be a registration desk specifically for delegates to come and check in with me. It'll be in the same room, but if you have questions as people are checking in with you, all delegate registration comes through me. So if you see forms, in advance of this, we've already noticed the meeting, so they have delegate registration forms. There are also proxies that they can turn in. So any of those, all of those come to me. It'll be in the main registration area. It'll just be a separate desk that they have to come to. Other than that, we will have, we've also added awards back into the annual meeting. So those will be at the end of the meeting time. And I believe it's going to be the credit union awards. So there will be 9 of those. So that honestly, the meeting is scheduled for, I think, 45 minutes to an hour. The awards will probably take up the bulk of that time. We will also,
Thank you.
one other thing, also we will publish a meeting booklet as we have in the past, but it will be electronic and only on the app, via the app. We won't print copies out. So if anybody asks for that, we will refer them back to the app. Any questions?
Kate? Any questions about the annual business meeting before we move on to more fun stuff? Okay, we're gonna cover some of our social events and we're gonna start with Karen.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Yes, fun stuff is right. We have our leverage cornhole tournament and reception, and that is going to be on Wednesday, June 16th from 7 to 8:30. Lots of fun will be involved here. We're hoping to get, I don't know, at least 100 people together. And yes, we are going to be practicing safe protocols that will be put in place. So I've been covering that with Maureen. I've got 3 sponsors for the event for $2,500 a piece. So Kuehl's, Leverage Benefits Group, and Check Printing Consulting are all going to be helping us out pay for this lovely reception. So please help us spread the word. We have an invitation that we've sent to a bunch of folks. Registration will just be done actually when they get there. We're not going to do pre-registration. The gentleman that's helping us coordinate this event, he's from St. Pete Cornhole. And so he is going to be helping us manage all this, and registrations will pretty much be done at the last minute. Just come show up. He'll help people get into teams. And even if you don't want to play cornhole, you can still join in the social hour. So really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great to get, all of our credit unions in a room together and have a little bit of fun before we, end the night. So that'll be perfect. So just help us spread the word if you wouldn't mind. Anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Karen. And just as you were talking, it made me just think about this. So if you haven't yet, you can go onto the hotel website and look at their layout and floor plan. So as more information starts rolling out about where these things will be located, you can kind of get a visual idea of where they'll be on the property. But we'll also do a quick tour once we're on site as well, so everyone's comfortable with the lay of the land. Okay, up next, Maureen's going to talk about our welcome party and then the dinner and silent auction.
Yes, I've been working with Nicole at Corporate One. They are the sponsor of the welcome party, and they are so excited. It took us a while to get what the theme was going to be. And it's funny, they are companion, really, a companion with the dinner and silent auction theme. So if you think of it, around the world, we're going to have an international travel theme for the dinner, but the welcome party starts out with pretty much, road trip in the USA, if you will. And we're going to have some great Americana type things. One of the discussions that we're having is either getting a green screen or something where people can get a selfie station with a lot of different iconic vacation spots and get their picture taken. We are talking about having some walking around, interesting things roaming the party. And, it's just going to be a great time, great fun. We're going to have a DJ. It's something that people really look forward to, and it kind of kicks off and sets the tone and starts us off right the first night with a big party. Then the dinner and the silent auction, like I said, it's right after the exhibit hall closes on Thursday. We go straight into the dinner. You heard about the silent auction. What's nice is we've got a very large ballroom, and there's one section of the ballroom that's going to be registration and the silent auction, and they'll be closed off to the rest of the ballroom while we're having meetings. But that night, the air walls will come down and the silent auction area will be wide open in that room. And you'll have flow. You'll have the opportunity for people to move from the dinner, and even before when they're getting their cocktails, and walk through and look again at the silent auction items. We've got a band slated. We've gone back and forth because our health and safety person did not love the idea of a band, mainly because it would encourage dancing, whether we wanted to or not. We have a great dance band, and people, it's kind of a footloose thing is what I say. People want to hear good music and they want to dance. With the pandemic, she's not crazy about us having a dance floor with dancing. So we've looked at other opportunities for other types of entertainment to see if we could switch off of that. I think we're still going to be having the band, and it's an interesting. I'll get more into it in the health and safety protocols. It's a mask mandate in the facility. It is a mask mandate at the Hilton property at this time. We don't expect there to be any change to that, but if we do find out that there is a change, we'll let everyone know. And we've got social distancing as well for folks where the way they'll be seated in all events and even at the dinner. But we really want to encourage people to socialize and have fun. We will have some activities and a couple of things going on at the party. It's still in the planning process, and more information will come out as soon as we have that. But they're excited to get together. They want to socialize. They want to celebrate. We will have some awards at the dinner as well. You'll see them in the opening ceremony, all the way through, as Kate said, to the very end at the annual meeting. We have so many because we've got 3 states right now, and a lot of things to celebrate with awards. But I did want to let you know we will have some of the awards at the dinner as well. So we're going to have a fun time. We're going to have a good time at both the opening party and at the dinner at the silent auction. And Donette's asking, are masks required inside the events like the welcome party when people are eating and drinking? That's a very good question. So as soon as you get to an event and you sit down, or you go grab a cocktail, you've got to take your mask off. And it very much is like Disney right now. If you're actively eating or drinking, you do not have to wear your mask. But any other time when you get up and walk around, or if you're not eating or drinking, we do ask that people wear their masks. So good question, Donette. Anybody else have any questions?
Just real quick before you jump into the health and safety protocols a little deeper, Maureen, when we were covering the agenda, some of you who have been at SCUCE before may have noticed that we have a lot more breakouts scheduled at the same time as each other than we have had in the past. And you may have guessed that is also because of social distancing, the ways that we had to set up the room to ensure that we were, meeting those guidelines meant that we just need more speakers and more sessions so that people have other rooms that they can go into. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that, because you might get a question from a credit union or someone who says, wow, there's a lot of breakouts. That is the reason why.
That's a good point. Absolutely. So, I think that is kind of the theme of this, is 2021 is going to look a little bit different than what you've experienced at convention or, SCUCE in the past. So we've all got to be prepared for that. The mask policy is one thing that, not everybody loves it. There are some people that are, very hesitant still to get out. Hopefully the vaccine being more prevalent and it's readily available to folks, and we will have probably a pretty good percentage of folks vaccinated that will be there. Maybe people will feel a little bit more comfortable. There's going to be hand sanitizer as far as the eye can see. Everywhere you turn, you're going to be seeing hand sanitizer. Bill Berg just said, could we have LSU leverage masks for staff? And actually we already do. So Christy had purchased LSU masks, and we will be wearing that at least on one of the days. It probably would be on Thursday. It's a cloth mask. She just checked it out this morning because she'd ordered them. They're individually wrapped. They do one thing that's nice for folks that wear glasses like me. If you put on a cloth mask and it doesn't have the thing that pinches at the nose, sometimes it fogs your glasses up. It actually does have the wire in it. as well. And so we'll get those to folks early. They'll probably come to you with your shirt orders. So just so that you're aware. And
Would it maybe be better to not send those to folks and to hand them out at SCUCE so people don't forget them?
we could do, we absolutely could. We could do it either way. And we'll have extras of those. So if somebody did forget theirs, Christy has a pretty good number ordered.
Okay. I just want to make sure if people are, you know, expected to wear them as you're packing, there's a lot of things going through people's minds. I just want to be cognizant of that. So, but okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And we will have gloves and masks at the Welcome Center and the information area registration. And some of the individual events, like Karen had said, the leverage event, they will have masks and gloves as well for people. And our health and safety sponsor is CUNA Mutual Group. So you will see them listed on a lot of different things. The hotel is pretty serious about cleaning and sanitization. You'll see them going over things left and right. The rooms will be sealed. If you've been to a hotel and had a hotel room during the pandemic and been to a Hilton property, you've probably seen your door sealed because they're a partner with Lysol, and they really clean these things down. Same thing in the general spaces of the convention center. There will be a lot of wiping down of things. You will see that when you go to breaks, they've done things like when you go to the coffee urn to get coffee, instead of pulling it, you push it in and it comes out and you grab your pack of stuff. So individually wrapped food a lot of times, or if there is a buffet, you'll be served and you'll have gloves. You'll see gloves, the single-use gloves that are kind of the clear gloves. They've got a cool machine. It was pretty interesting to us when we went and did a site visit, and it actually puffs air into the glove and you like put your hand in it and it just like magically you got the glove on your hand. And drinks, I had some people say, you know, how in the world does like how does it work getting cocktails at something? And I'm like, you know, they've got plexiglass for the people. They're dressed in PPE. They've got a face shield, a mask. They're wearing gloves. They make your drink. They hand it to you through the plexiglass. Same thing if you've got folks that are going around and serving, if they're carrying cocktails or food, they're individually wrapped and they're very well, you know, protected, and, you know, will hand individual things to folks. So a lot of things look a little bit different. Social distancing room sets, Jennifer alluded to that, the fact that, you know, we've got distancing set up in all the places where we're going to be, you know, gathered together as best we can. And then we're going to have queue lines. So we're going to have the 6 feet lines queued up. And some of the staff that we have that are there are going to be ambassadors of the health and safety protocols that we have that will help us work to make sure that credit unions are lining up. We're going to have, you know, floor stickers that are every 6 feet. It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. This hotel has hosted other events with groups as large as ours and larger as well. The trade show, the exhibit hall, is going to look a little bit different. There's going to be a one-way in and a one-way out. And we're going to do our best through signage and through floor stickers to try and get people to go one way through areas. The hall has much wider aisles than before. This is one of the reasons why we could not fit in quite as many booths as the past. The booths are a little bit bigger to allow for distancing for the people that are in the booths. And then the aisles are 12 feet wide. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that. We have a no hugs and handshake policy for the event. So all the things that I'm talking about with you guys as well, a reminder is going to go out to the credit unions of what are our health and safety protocols. It's hard. I mean, I was just in Tallahassee and it's hard not to hug people. It really is. and shake hands. And we haven't seen some of our credit union folks in a while. So just, we'll all do the best that we can and what we're comfortable with. But we want to do what we can to limit, those types of interactions if at all possible. And probably no, go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just gonna say, I think it's really important to remember that it's hard to break habits, right? And so if we see each other sort of falling back into old habits, let's support each other and just like a friendly reminder, hey, remember to distance. Hey, remember we're not supposed to be hugging. And for those on the receiving end of that friendly reminder, just don't take it personal. We're just trying to help each other out because we really need to set the example for what our expectations are for all of our guests. And again, we'll get into it a little bit more once we talk about scheduling, but we will also have sort of like health and safety ambassadors who will be helping to set that tone. If needed, to remind folks to kind of back up in line, things like that. We certainly don't want to be, mandating or being rude or, doing these to our folks, but we just all need to be very mindful of it.
That's a good point. So probably one of the more important things to remind people of is if you are sick before you start to travel to SCUCE, if you have symptoms, if you don't feel well, and you don't know what's going on, or you feel like you need to get a COVID test, don't travel, don't come, let somebody know. And even while you're there, and I don't want anybody to ever feel like, well, I'm not feeling great, but I don't know that I want to tell somebody. We don't want somebody to be sick with anything, including COVID, and feel like that they I was kind of dragging and felt horrible, but I still went anyway, and then I had it, and then I shared it with all my friends and my credit union friends. We want to be responsible, and I don't want people to feel guilty. That it's a real thing. It's a real thing for me as well. If I were to come down sick and not feel good, I would feel horrible and be like, I've got so many things that are assigned to me that I need to do. We're going to do our best to have backups for people and communicate that as best we can, and for people to train and to discuss what activities and what duties that they're going to have. But we may be done with COVID. Some people feel like, oh my God, is this thing not over yet? COVID is not done with us. And it's still around, it's still happening. There are still people getting very sick, and there are people dying. And so we do not want anybody to feel uncomfortable. We want people to feel like that you have taken the most personal responsibility that you can for yourself, in wearing your mask and sanitizing and doing all those things, and hand washing. There are signs all over the hotel. You will see them at every event: mask, hand wash, sanitize. Left and right. And we want you to feel comfortable and know if something were to happen to you, there's a process, especially if you're there.
Yeah, there won't be any negative consequences or anything.
No.
And communicate that
the
with
other
us,
thing
and
I
don't
wanna-
come down if you are sick.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure you text or call.
And the other thing is that also applies to your guests, as we talked about, changing the policy about bringing guests. If any of your guests are showing symptoms before you leave, please don't bring them. If they show symptoms while they're there, let us know immediately so we can try and work on, whether it's another room for you or some way to mitigate that situation. We just all need to be mindful, and we all need to work together on that.
Yeah, and if anyone in your room gets sick at all and you feel fine, still don't come down. Just text, call. That's sort of key. Don't be bringing any germs downstairs at all. So, but we do have that health and safety protocols tab on the website. There's information there if you need to direct any credit unions who might be kind of on the fence and want to know what we're doing. But we'll update that as needed. So any questions about health and safety before we move on to next steps? I want to make sure we have enough time to finish up this morning.
I have one more thing to say too. We do have Mary Quigg, who is an RN that has been helping us plan this all along. And she's what we call a duty of care officer. She will be with us on the app. Credit unions and you as well will have, all kinds of access to information, but she will have a phone number. And if you do not feel well, you will report it to her. And then she will work with you. We also will have a list on the website of testing sites, urgent care, and hospitals that are nearby.
Yes, thank you, Maureen. And speaking of the app, if you have gone on to check out the SCUCE app, you'll realize that there isn't one yet. Never fear, we are in the process of building it. So we're feeding information, and as soon as we're ready to go live, we'll make sure that we let you all know so you can make sure you have it downloaded, ready to go. But also we'll communicate that with our attendees so that they're getting their information as well. Okay. So we'll talk about our next steps, our next meeting on May 14th. Maureen, any comments on that? I know we'll talk a little bit more about, plan is to have the staff schedule out to you all before that meeting so you can review it, give us feedback if there's any conflicts, so that when we come together on May 14th, hopefully we've got a pretty good idea of what that's going to look like based on your comments.
Yeah, I would just say, Becky sent out an email at the beginning of the week asking people to estimate their hotel room when they're going to come in, when they need to leave. And I know the first question people ask is, I don't know what I'm assigned to yet. How do I know when I need to be coming in? When you see the listing of things, do your best and change your hotel room if we need to. It's not a problem. Moving forward, if we have to add a date or delete a date. But just do your best to estimate it for now. And if things change, Becky can make those changes. And like I said, we are working hard to get you the staff list so that you guys can take a look at that and give us feedback. The other question I've gotten as well came in the email from Becky asking about shirt sizes for the different colored polo golf shirts that we're going to be wearing on different days. We don't have the schedule yet of which shirt we're going to wear on which day. I did get samples in for the shirts. I haven't even looked at them. They're just sitting in a stack on my desk when I walked in. I know people want to know, is this true to size? How do these things fit? These are some new shirts, especially for the people. We'll send something out. Do your best to estimate what you think. If we find out, ooh, these run really, small, and you're like, ooh, upsize me, we can do that. We'll be finalizing the shirt sizes next week to get the order in. They can turn them around fairly quickly. It's about a 1 week turnaround. So, if you got a shirt and you're like, that doesn't work for me, please just let us know.
And if you have extra shirts that you won't be wearing, please let us know, because we can certainly repurpose those. So just let Becky know, Maureen, me, anybody, let us know so we can kind of add that to our collection. And for those of you that are in the Tallahassee office, we do have some shirts hanging up in the closet in the accounting printer room. So if you want to come, take a look, try one on, try and get a feel for what your size will be. I know, like Maureen said, it might not be exact, but it should give you a really good starting point. So feel free to take a look on those. But yes, please get Becky that information as soon as possible so that we know what we're working with here as far as timeline and budget. Any questions? I don't think the plan, Nicole just asked, will we be mailing out a sample size? I don't think the plan was to mail any sample sizes. But when we have the, we can certainly, I think, Becky, are we able to share measurements at least? Or Christy? Yes, we can share measurements for the shirts that we're ordering, so that should be able to help you out. Any other questions?
This may be really random. I should have asked this very early on in some of our first initial conversations. When I first saw the logo with SCUCE, my assumption is we'd have oranges. I just didn't, I wondered if we were going to work that in because of the logo. And plus, I was thinking, even COVID-19, it would be conducive. It's healthy. You peel it, you eat it. Nobody else touched it, and even if they did, you don't eat. I don't know. I was just wondering. Random.
And we can certainly work that in, and I would love to talk to you and get some ideas about it.
This is my secret plan to get oranges there because I love that. With Doritos and jalapenos, as Christy knows.
Any other questions? And as you're kind of thinking about it, I would just remind you that, again, if there are any special requests or things that typically happen that you expect to happen again, please just let us know, because we can't make things happen that we don't know about. And obviously Maureen has planned the Georgia Convention in the past. I have been to the LSCU conference in the past. And Christine obviously has a ton of experience with exhibit halls and conferences, but the three of us have never done this exact event in these exact roles before. So please help us help you.
I have one question. My computer kept going in and out because of service. I wasn't sure. Are we still doing 2 black pants and 1 tan khaki?
Oh, great question, Nicole. I did mean to address that. So we've got the, red, black, and purple shirts. It was based on feedback and staff responses from the last time. Women will actually wear black pants the whole time. Yes, that means you'll be wearing black on black. And men will wear khakis the whole time. And that will be included in the staff notebook. We'll have a ton of information, but for planning purposes, if you have to do any refreshing of your wardrobe, that's good to know. And like Maureen said, I would recommend packing several pairs of shoes, because even the most comfortable pair of shoes start to hurt when you wear them too long. So having a few different pairs is always a good thing. And it can be, for women, black pants or black skirt is fine.
Hey, I don't have a question, just a comment. I just want to commend everybody who is on this agenda here, who was giving an update today. You guys have obviously put a lot of thought and work into this. It's new for everybody, and all of these things are a little bit different with COVID. So congratulations. We can tell you've done a lot of work on this. And so I'm looking forward to a really successful event, and just appreciate all the work that you've done.
×2. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Let us know if anything comes up, or if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And other than that, we will get together for another check-in meeting on May 14th. And so if you have anything that you specifically want to make sure we cover during that meeting, also just let us know, and we'll be sure to work that into the agenda. All right, thank you, Dream Team. Have a great weekend. Appreciate your time today.
Bye.